Barber Shop Podcast. We got episode number 132 coming to you live from Boxo Studio in the great city of Hamilton, Ontario. The blast furnace of original music, original people, and just the greatest place in the world to be on this late, muggy May evening. And I'm here with the cohorts in crime, Ryan Cannon and Gary Greenland.
What's up?
Working the control room. It is sweet in there. You put in some hours this week, haven't you, my friend?
Yeah, I put in tons of hours, way too many hours.
Yeah.
There's pictures of me on I don't know if we shared it on the Barbershop page, but there's pictures on the Boxo page of me buried
You
in
geeked
great
right out
cable
on
and,
it.
Oh,
you
man,
just, you got
great.
you were sucking solder for
It was the worst and best experience I've ever had here.
It went down, it went well. We've got the Patch Bays. Formerly in Hamilton Place, now at Boxo Studio.
Yep. You're actually, everything's running through them right now.
So the gray wires that are coming out of the Soundcraft soundboard and into the Apollo have to go through this Patch Bay. The Patch Bay was in Hamilton Place for 40 years. You think about the amazing amount of talent that have gone through those skinny wires over the course of 40 years. They went to a digital system. We are also very aptly digital here, but
a little bit of both.
We love the analog bass. We love that warm, wonderful sound that the circuits and wires, capacitors, and diodes give you, and we give them to you. And in between that process and that process comes the music, and that's what we do here at Barbershop Podcast. We introduce you to original musicians who have a story to tell, have a body of work that otherwise you may not have the opportunity to be aware of. It's very difficult to get in any kind of publication that's going to give any kind of in-depth overview of what a band or what a certain musical genre entails. It's difficult for people to take a flyer on something they know nothing about. So here's your opportunity. Barbershop Podcast. Every Wednesday, we broadcast. We bring you people. We find out about them, what makes them special, why they love music, how it saved or changed their life in any way. And we listen to the creation that they've put together. And we've had, as I said, 131 weeks prior to this. This week's guest is the Acoustics, who came in a little over a year ago and just blew us away. They possess a sensibility in their music that transcends age groups. It has a freeing gentleness to it. It has a direction, it has tradition, and it's a wonderful blend of things that you've heard before, things you've thought before, put into a brand new package that is absolutely Hamilton. Pleasure to have them in the studio again. Let's introduce the Acoustics, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
once
Kevin.
again.
Kevin,
It's
to be back.
fantastic. I'm going to end with you because you'll get gabbing, and then Al loves to talk, doesn't he?
Yes, thank you. I'm making a mental effort tonight to talk as much.
Everyone's allowed to talk at Barbershop Podcast. You can say everything. Someone's going to have to say at least one curse word so we can put up our explicit warning. It's important. There we go. Ally Jed in the studio. She is kind enough to give throwing the S-bomb out there for us. You weren't able to join last time you were here, but I've seen you perform a couple times, and everyone's jaws dropping. It's like, oh, who is that? And it's like, well, that's
That's what happens to me. I wake up in the morning. I go, who are you?
Who are you sometimes? So tell me a little bit about your introduction to music. Were you a kid who was always singing, dancing, and being involved in that, or did it come later?
No, it was always there. Like, it always followed me around, kind of, It still does. I was driving here today, and I'm like, how did I end up here? It's great, though. I love this city. It's awesome.
Do you remember? Did you do any pageants or things at school, or
the talent shows? My parents brought me to Nashville like numerous times. Like, they were music lovers, and yeah, they were big.
It's
music
nice.
lovers.
It's nice when you foster the environment and you put in on all the ingredients. It helps to grow someone with a love of music. Super important to us, that's for sure. Enzo Spoto, you are the nephew of Al. We've learned that on the first show. You are you've been obviously playing since he stuck a guitar in your hand and said, "Get to work," right? Yeah, so, and then we talked about this too, the other influences and the stuff that any teenage kid goes through, likes in the way of music.
Sure, yeah.
Anything stick out since that time? You thought, "Wow, I wish I would have said that," or something where you remember where music was like, "Oh wow, when that happened, something changed, where I got really serious or always wanted to do that."
Well, I'm not sure if I can't remember what I said the last time, but Ally kind of invoked something in me where I was never been able to escape music. It has followed me. There has been, let's say, roadblocks to music in my life, but it's always been there for me, whether I liked it or not. I mean, sometimes they seem like simple decisions, but let's say that I've had a teacher show up and tell me that, yeah, I could play the accordion, because they used to do that door to door. So that was kind of one thing. I said, okay, you have the aptitude to be a musician, but my parents weren't into it at the time. They weren't the type. I did recorder lessons in school, and I blew through 5 grades. The teacher was like, you have to do this now.
Yeah.
And again, there was a roadblock there. I had to stop it. Later on in life, I decided, well, I need extra credits at school. Why don't I just do music? And they're simple for me.
They give credits for that. Yeah, remember that moment when you realized?
It's so easy. Let's just do music.
Simple decision, but why did I feel so comfortable in it? But the era that I lived in, it was... Or even the environment I lived in, even though I had Al as a musician, as music, my music mentor and all that, I still moved into being a conventional worker guy because it was such a strong force, and I wasn't mature enough to understand how to make other choices. Mm-hmm. And as an adult, I compromise where I live a conventional life, the happy-go-lucky guy, but I also have other aspects of me that I could really be myself.
Yeah, music is a wonderful way to get that expression.
Yeah, and that, that gives me life.
Yeah, so that gives me life. Excellent. Got to put that on a T-shirt.
Oh, how's bullshit for a word? Is that?
It's a good one. Bullshit.
Is that too clean?
Well, it's good. That counts. That's absolutely counts. We are now explicit.
All right.
Bonnie Bell, wonderful
Hi.
having you back in the studio again. I think we talked about how your parents were like, you can do anything you want, but just don't play with those Spoto boys. They're bad. No. Classically, traditionally trained, your background?
Yeah, I took traditional classical violin lessons as a kid. Yeah.
And went through the Ontario Conservatory.
Yeah, that type of thing, and orchestras.
Did you find when you were like at a certain point, you're like, okay, I want... were people approaching you and saying, hey, can you play some this? Or was it the other way around where you're like, okay, I want to play with people?
Yeah, well, I actually always grew up in orchestras. That's just kind of how I learned. And my teacher happened to know Al. So that's how I got into the band. So she recommended it. And we just kind of fell in that way and kept on going from there.
The rest is beautiful history, as they say. And Al, we told your story, which I thought was classic. Great Hamilton story of, you were, well, why didn't you tell it? Tell me about
I got to say it again?
Yeah, you got to say, but give us the Reader's Digest version.
I grew up in Hamilton.
Yeah.
I came from Italy when I was 7.
Uh-huh.
And then when I was 11, my neighbor took accordion. I liked it. I asked my parents, I want to take lessons. So they did, and I never stopped, basically. Yeah. And I played in, the usual wedding things and oom-pum-pum bands and so on. And then eventually I stopped.
Yeah, and you were a teenager and you want to play, so you played keyboards,
That's right. I stopped playing, and for years I played in, cover bands with the keyboard. And then I got tired of that, and then when I was 35, I picked up the accordion again. And I probably mentioned it before, it was to see if my mom would come out of her dementia, sort of. Mm-hmm. And but in that process, I realized I really loved it. couldn't believe that I actually gave it up all those years. And so I just did it all over again. I couldn't care less if it was fashionable or whatever.
And it was predated because it certainly is fashionable. It has been for a good 15 or 20 years where you can't really conceive of doing a roots record without having some violin on it. Yeah. It is, of all the instruments, I think the one that is most alive because you have to constantly give it air. You have to, and you can't just fill it with air. You have to breathe with it. So you're
it's like singing. You got to breathe it. And, actually, since you mentioned that, Bonnie's kind of taking accordion lessons.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard instrument
and
to
she's
play.
a musician already, but she's doing rather well. She kind of breezed right through the first book, but she understands. I sense that someone in the band understands what accordion is like. Or trying to play it,
Well, it's the synergy and the way you guys play together is fantastic. You've got a wonderful blend of songs, as I said, traditional and contemporary. We're going to kick off with an original song live tonight. We're going to play a bunch. I think they got 4 songs we're going to do live here at Barber Shop Podcast, and we've got some tracks we're going to play off of their CD. We're going to promote their show May 30th at the Brantford Arts Block. Glenn Marshall puts on a wonderful show down there in Brantford, Ontario. All sorts of things about the Acoustics, a band that you're going to get to know, and once you get to know, you're sure to love them. So here we go. We're going to kick it off.
I want to mention tonight's live tunes, they're not recorded yet. We just felt like doing just stuff that's not recorded yet.
That's what we love here at Barber Shop Podcast.
So we have played them live.
Yeah.
And but they're all kind of written by, what's your name? Enzo.
You look in the mirror too. Who am I?
And
It's been 40 years.
Our first one is it features him as a vocalist, and it's called Sly Malice. I'm not sure if you want to say anything more about it.
It's a long story.
Well, it's a long story, but it's a shorter song. It's awesome, and we're going to give it to you right now here, Barber Shop Podcast.
The story is in the song.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Think of you with all I do. Something's in the way. How I try and try and try and try. It must be something I say. Haven't I opened my eyes? The things you do are true, are true. I love you so that I know it's that something that you do. You have a sly malice, looking like you're mighty fine. You have a grand presence, said you couldn't look away if I tried. Come on. I'm taking you out, you are out of sight. Let's do what we do, what we do. Give me time to find, when I find I'm with you, just you, just you. You have a sly malice, looking like you're mighty fine. You have a grand presence. I said you couldn't look away if I tried.
If I tried.
Well, I said you couldn't look away if I tried. Twilight Bay shows me the way to the place we used to know. So come on in, let us sing the things that we sing when we sing. You have a sly malice, looking like you're mighty fine. You have a grand presence. I said you could look away if I tried.
If I tried.
I said you couldn't look away if I tried.
If I tried.
Well, I said you couldn't look away if I tried.
If I tried.
Well, I said you couldn't look away.
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 Couldn't look away. Couldn't look away if you tried. If you tried. If you tried.
Absolutely fantastic. There's the Acoustics for you live here at Barber Shop Podcast in Hamilton, Ontario. The Acoustics, again, are playing this Saturday, May 30th. If you're watching in future cyber time, then go on the interweb thingy and go look them up and find out when they're playing next. That's the Acoustics. And they are from Hamilton, Ontario. You started out very traditional. You actually won HMA for Best Traditional.
Actually, Best Instrumental.
Instrumental for, because you didn't have the silky golden voice, the piping at that point in time. But obviously the chops were there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you strike me as someone who's a bit of a perfectionist. You're not going to put something out unless it's...
Well, we try. It's hard to do good.
Yeah, it is, but it's worth it because it is forever.
Yes.
And you did a bang-up job with your most recent CD, Eerie Long. It's been, very highly critically acclaimed. It's got so many great tunes on it. It's done really well for you. And you recorded it over at Grand Avenue with Amy.
Yes.
And you told a couple interesting stories of a very enjoyable, pleasurable experience. You were saying it's like a lot of times it's very painful putting a record together.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but you got it together, and happy with the results.
Yes, yeah. That's out of all the three, I'm very happy with that one. It's a learning process. The first album you've ever done, you make so many kind of recording mistakes, I call them. I don't mean that you're playing a bad note or anything. It's just maybe the mix isn't right, or you could have put different feeling in certain things, or the instruments, maybe the quality wasn't as good.
Yeah.
The arrangement maybe could have been better.
Yeah.
And then you try to improve the next album you do. And then even then, there's always, there
always is. I don't care how long you work in anything. I don't think you'll find anyone who's worth their salt who'll tell you they know it all. At that point in time.
Yeah, you try to do stuff, and
you do, and you succeed. And in this case, you did. And we're going to spin a 3 songs off of Eerie Long. First one is Haven't Forgotten. Is there a story to tell about Haven't Forgotten? And it's probably a love song about a broken heart. Because those are the best ones.
Yes,
well, as you said earlier, Kevin, the story's in the song.
The story's in the song. It's going to unravel, and you're going to get to hear it, enjoy it, and think about this Saturday, May 30th, at the Brantford Arts Block. You're going to go see me there. The Acoustics on barbershoppodcast.com.
There's something wrong here. Nothing turns, nothing turns.
take your arm and bring it near. It's a fear, it's a fear. You leave the room, I disappear. But I'm right here, I'm right here. 'Cause loving me is not a sin, no. So let me in, let me in.
I don't care what they say to you, and I don't care what they see in me, and I don't care what they feel for me. I burn for you, I yearn for you. Oh, well, I mean you're something, man, you're something. You're a lot. And I mean you're something. Haven't forgotten. You're all I've got. And I mean you're something. Man, you're something. You're a lot. And I mean you're something. Haven't forgotten. You're all I've got. Oh, oh. I don't care what they say to you, and I don't care what they see in me, and I don't care what they feel for me. I burn for you, I yearn for you. Oh, well, I mean you're something, man, you're something. You're a lot, and I mean you're something. Haven't forgotten. You're all I've got, and I mean you're something, man, you're something. You're a lot, and I mean you're something. Haven't forgotten. You're all I've got. Oh, oh.
That's the Acoustics. Haven't Forgotten off of 2013's Erie Long. Get yourself this record. Get yourself all of their material. What's the website that they can get a hold of
See us right
their
now.
acoustics?
Oh.
Theacoustics.ca.
Yes, right. Yeah, there's all the links to CD Baby, iTunes.
Yeah. You get it? Bandcamp? You're on Bandcamp? No. Bandcamp, you get a bit more of the money, but I give it to everyone.
Through CD Baby, we have all this big streaming. We get a lot more streams than anything else now. I guess everybody's like that. There's that, what's that famous one that's in Spotify? Yeah, tons of streams on there all the time, and iTunes streams, Xbox streams. There's all kinds of them that.
The world is changing, I tell you. I was always a pretty technically adept guy, and at my age, I'm right hanging on with my fingertips. It's going so quickly. I'm glad I kind of bought in when I did. You know,
not even there. Like,
you're
I
not
was
there,
trying
you
to watch the show, like, on my phone. I couldn't get it. That would be neat.
There's a bit of a delay. It's kind of funny because we do the anniversary show, and there's usually people come down and guest, and then they go upstairs, and there'll be 20 people up there watching on the big screen, and it's about 6 seconds. And you think, well, that's bouncing off a satellite, you know, in outer space, and then coming back down and going into my TV within 5 or 6 seconds.
That's unacceptable.
Yes, I'm sure they'll prove it at some point in time. But we'll tell a joke or someone will say, and then all of a sudden everyone will applaud or stomp on the floor. But it's 10 seconds later, so it's absolutely
Why are they doing that?
yeah. It's like exactly. It took us a while to figure that out, but it's fun. We're going to be having our 3rd anniversary special at the end of November. We've got a lot of things going on this summer. Boxo Studio and Barber Shop Podcast. You'll have to stay tuned. In the meantime, like our Facebook page, share that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've had over 35,000 viewers, and that's someone who's watched, I think, for at least 20 or 30 minutes out of an hour-long show. So, and then iTunes, a similar kind of number. So a big football stadium worth of people care enough about a live, original, real music. It's as important as real food. And, it's
great, Kevin,
it's true. It's like, the processed stuff, it's, in a pinch, it'll get you through if you're on a road trip, but don't make a habit of it. And same with your music. Treat yourself. You deserve it. The Acoustics are in the house. And after we give a shout out to our sponsor, they're going to play another great live tune. That's what we do here at Boxo Studio. We let you experience what a band sounds like in the flesh. It's not always a process of magic in the studio. Quite often, especially a band of this nature, they could sit in your kitchen and play and take you away. And then eat all your food at the same time. It's
Drink
a
all the
deal
wine.
and a half any day. A big shout out to HamiltonArtists.ca. They've been with us for so long, and not only are they great people there, they are absolute professionals. They print anything on anything. They just did a whack of great buttons for us, Barber Shop Podcast buttons and Boxo Studio buttons, license plate holders for the Mercedes. Megs is on that. And if you have an idea, we're talking from keychains and mouse pads to tiny posters to banners and full-size banners. The equipment they have there is absolutely fantastic. They are the person to go to get work brokered somewhere else. I say your first and last call is to HamiltonArtists.ca if you have a business or a band or something to promote. You're going to need a hat. You're going to need a T-shirt. You're going to need something printed. They are Hamilton. They are local, they are professional, and they will take care of you. Friends of Barbershop Podcast, that's HamiltonArtists.ca. Okay, we've got the Acoustics in the studio tonight. They're going to play another live song for us. I'm not even going to set it up. I'm just going to let it happen organically. Right here, barbershoppodcast.com.
Thank you. Can I say a word? No.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, we're almost ready to release. This is a single, by the way. That's all I was trying to say. It's called Heartbreak with an Edge. Written, of course, by Enzo. Sang by Ally.
And Enzo.
And Enzo.
Let's do it.
Okay, 1, 2.
He tells me he likes my caress. I tell him you cure my loneliness. We wonder how to fix this mess. Don't worry, we'll be reckless. Breaking on through, I feel like a fool. The lies have come to an end. There's nothing more real, it's not make pretend. Heartbreak comes with an edge. The chains that bound me have all long gone. My heavy heart is singing song. And now it's time to lay it to rest. Don't worry, we'll be reckless. Lights are off, there's no one home. I reach for someone, but I'm all alone. If I don't forget, I won't digress. Don't worry, we'll be reckless. We're breaking on through. I feel like a fool. The lies have come to an end. There's nothing more real. It's not big pretend. Heartbreak comes with an edge. Heartbreak comes with an edge. Heartbreak comes with an edge.
Oh, you could paint that smoky picture. What a beautiful song. Heartbreak comes with an edge, doesn't it? Something about a lyric. You're a wonderful lyricist, Enzo. I enjoy the way you write. Have you always had a turn of phrase? Did you always have a ability to write? Or is this something that you've had to kind of drag and train yourself into?
I think I had this ability to write, but I just, I always suppressed it. Then I said to myself, I'm going to write a song. You know, I think I could do it. You know, and because I've always I think the way that I write, and I've always thought up these things. I've just never put them down. You know, so I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write this down. You know, so I started. Let's Talk was one of the first ones that I wrote, which is on Erie Lawn, and I wrote it down. And geez, it was just like a joy. Some type of weight lifted from me, and from then on, I've just haven't been able to stop really.
Yeah, it is, and especially once you start hearing it music, and you hear the arrangement in your head or a turn of a phrase, it's a freeing thing. And when you put lyric and melody together, it's you know, my raison d'etre, as they say. That's why I'm here. That's why I do that.
It'll wake you up at like 3 in the morning sometimes.
Yeah.
You'll have a lyric buzzing around your head.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it's like I'm brushing my teeth and I think of it, and then it's like as soon as I say, I hope I forgot it.
That's why I have bad breath, because I'll put down the toothbrush and I'm like, I don't care, I gotta write this down. Totally kidding. On the record, I have good breath.
Yeah, it's true. You don't get teeth like that. Not in this town, anyway. Hamilton, Ontario, we love it. It's such a great amount of talent in this town, and I've always said it's like your older brother who has your best interest in mind, but he ain't cutting you any slack. And it's a tough town. It's a fair town, but I think, like a lot of kids who grow up in a little tough environment, they could use a little love. You know, they could use a little support, a little encouragement. There's some people you can see are bright, shining examples who have made it, and by making it, saying they've managed to craft themselves a living and a following in a musical business. But there is so much more music, so many more musicians who just don't have the venues and the opportunities because the people don't know they're there. And quite often the people don't even know what they're missing. They haven't bought or listened to new music since they were kids. They really don't think there's anything new out there that will appeal to them, because when they turn on radio, it's all shit, and they go and change it. It's more shit and more shit and more shit and more shit.
Happy I cracked that one like before we started. Now you're comfortable to say
I'm
that.
all over that shit.
All over that shit.
And then now satellite radio has found the niche where people are like, okay, I can find a whole bunch of stuff I like, but now they get locked into someone who's gone to the satellite service, and they'll be listening to. But it's a step in the right direction, that people have an ability to be exposed, and independent artists, people, because so few people are on any kind of major label anymore. It's very much a do-it-yourself industry, and the toughest thing is to promote yourself. It's really hard to be, the working girl and the pimp at the same time. So you put your heart on the line and you go out there, and then you have to go and take all these shots on the chin. You have
to do everything.
Selling yourself, and you have to be infallible
it beats you
about
up
it.
After a while.
It does. And so people wind up just sitting on their CDs, and they make a site, but they won't promote it because they don't know it's the 453rd person who's actually the person who knows someone who's a program director who will send that. And the people who persevere, quite often the people who succeed. And, you know, exactly.
You need that support, and I feel that. I mean, I went to Mohawk College, actually, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the musicians here in Hamilton, and I feel that it's really important to have that support and have the listeners reach out to these hardworking musicians.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people figure, wow, someone's got a wicked guitar and they're up on stage, they're doing fine. It's like, man, you don't, have the clue.
They don't know.
It's like that is like the little...
They don't know those lyrics that haunt us at 3 in the morning.
Or just how much work it is to put
Yeah.
that thing all the way up on stage for that 1 minute, and it's like you look at an iceberg with what you see below the water versus what you see above the water, and it's spectacular above the water.
Talk about the guys that set up, too, on the stage before those musicians got there as well.
And no one would do it unless they love it. It just makes no sense. So here you are, you're saying, okay, I've had a crappy day at work. I've got 4 hours or 3 hours that I could sit and melt into the couch and watch TV, or I could get up and go down to any number of establishments that feature live music. If you're not a drinker, you don't have to drink. You can go and have a soda or coffee and watch the music. Quite often there's a very reasonable cover, and the people who will pay $200 and $300 to see an artist who's probably lip syncing won't spend $10 to see a band. I don't understand that. It should be something, especially with the price of movies these days. If you're going to take a girl out and impress her, take a chance on live music. Never take a date to a movie.
Don't be intimidated by that
lame.
hot guitarist, guys.
That's right.
Just bring him out.
You bring him out there.
I thought it was the drummer.
Take him for a dance. It's always the drummer.
It is.
Maybe,
It is
know.
life. It is why we do what we do. And you do it so well. A beautiful song, great pipes there. Loved it. And we're going to spin another tune off of the most recent CD from the Acoustics from 2013. This is recorded at Grand Avenue.
What are we doing?
And we are going to be doing Midnight Rain. We're going to play Midnight Rain.
That's an instrumental.
It's an instrumental, and again, this is a sort of thing where you close your eyes and you can feel and you can hear the Midnight Rain right here, barbershoppodcast.com. Wonderful. Fantastico. In the studio, Barber Shop Podcast. We have the Acoustics, and they're here. They've joined us. It is the best of times, and you have to believe that, and that helps to make it the best of times. And if you want the best of times, you're going to want it this Saturday, the 30th of May, 2015. Find yourself all the way down to Brantford, Ontario. If you're from the tri-state area, it's a little bit this way. If you're from the Hamilton Niagara area, it's just a little bit that way. It's a great place, the Brantford Arts Block. It's run by Glenn Marshall, great friend of the studio, great friend of mine. Fantastic engineer and gentleman. It's 8:30 p.m. The door is open at 8 o'clock. The show is $15 in advance, $20 at the door. Tickets, you can go to www.ticketscene.ca.
Plenty of parking.
Plenty of parking.
Free parking.
Free parking. You don't have to scrap for paid parking. And it's at 111 Sherwood Drive in Brantford, Ontario. That's 111 Sherwood Drive in Brantford, Ontario. The Brantford Arts Block. You'll have to see the Acoustics this Saturday, May 30th. This is Kevin Barber at Barber Shop Podcast. We are podcasting from Boxo Studio in Hamilton, Ontario. We are bringing you episode number 132 of this fantastic little podcast. It gets by on a very small sponsorship and a lot of passion and dedication from people. We appreciate you watching it. It grows exponentially. Please share it. Please like it. Please tell your friends about it. It doesn't have to be a dirty little secret. I imagine if it gets out in the open, you will not be judged. In fact, you will be viewed as what's called a center of influence, a trendsetter.
You'll be trending.
That's right.
You'll be podcasting.
You'll be podcasting. And now people even know what that means.
Perfect.
It is tomorrow, today, right here at Barbershop Podcast. The Acoustics are in the house. They're in the room. They're going to play another live song for us. Sure. And it just thrills me. You go see them live. They have usually have bass and drums and the whole big blowing up sound, but they bring just a core of four, some sweet voices, and some great instrumentation, something real, something good, something real good. Right now, barbershoppodcast.com.
Thank you. We're going to do another new tune called Loretta Blue. Of course, written by Enzo, sang by Ally.
Like, you know what? Al says I write all the songs. Okay, I give a core of the song, I guess you could say, but everybody says, this is great, this is good. Why don't we try this? Why don't we try that lyrically as well? So this is not just all me.
Yeah, everyone packs some meat
It's
on
a
that
big
frame.
effort. It wouldn't. I put sometimes demos together. I sing the song out kind of thing. I even do a couple of harmonies sometimes, and then I give it, and it just gets totally transformed. And I love it. I really do. Sometimes if it hurts because I don't understand the change, but I trust everybody, and I just trust in everybody. Yeah. So there's a big let's say giving up of the song because of trust and love.
It's true.
And it's a great feeling.
Well put. Trust and love. Got it by the bucket load right here, barbershoppodcast.com.
He writes it, we make it better.
This is about a lady in a brothel, by the way. Not that I knew anybody like that. It's just a thought.
And I fell in love with her, apparently. Because now I'm singing it.
She was cheap. No, I'm just kidding. That was bad.
She better not.
You can cut that out. Cut that out. Is this live?
Yes. Okay, 1, 2.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The day that he met her, there's no regret. She walks like a woman, all confident. Let's get together, no consequence. Goodbye, 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 Loretta Blue. Goodbye, goodbye, I can't stop picturing you. The silence that takes you with no one to hear. Whispering shadows, chambers that rehearse. up is over, the ending is near. Goodbye, 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 the red and blue. Goodbye, goodbye, I can't stop loving you. Lost in the sadness, returning to lose. The darkness is tragic, despite the lovers you choose. You're locked in the madness, playing a fool. Goodbye, 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 the red and blue. Goodbye, goodbye, I can't stop fighting for you. Goodbye, 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 the red and blue. Goodbye, goodbye, I can't stop picturing you. I'm still loving you. I can't stop thinking of
Fantastic. The Acoustics here at Barber Shop Podcast, bringing it to you real. That's what we do here. We give you real original live music. We give you a reason to go check out live original music, to buy some original material, some new music, put that on your iPod, put that on your playlist, put it in your car, support a scene that is sure to support you, live music, and the people who make it. That's what we love. That's what we do right here at Barber Shop Podcast. The Acoustics are in the house, as we mentioned, this Saturday. It's going to be a heck of a good show. It's at the Brantford Arts Centre in Brantford, Ontario. You can check out the Acoustics and the full complement of them. You can check out the Brantford Arts Block, which is just a wonderful space, a large industrial area that's been sectioned with soft fabrics and curtains and set up that any number of different acts, and these are sort of a lot of them are acts that you would normally have to go to a university soft seater or Hamilton Place or something to see. You know, it's not a club band. So for the people who love music, don't want to go out to a bar on a regular basis, especially if you live out in Brantford and your options aren't as many as there are here, you know, support it. Go out. It's a great thing that Glenn's doing. He brings in incredible talent. Our good friend Alec Bromke is there on a regular basis taking photographs, and it's just stunning. It looks to be a great experience. I certainly plan on being there this Saturday. So come say hi at the Brantford Arts Block at 111 Sherwood Drive in Brantford. Come check out the information that you need to find about that on theacoustics.ca, also where you can get a hold of their recorded materials. You got 3 CDs out. We're still working our way back from the first one, the most recent, from 2013, Eerie Long. But you had a CD in 2006. And then the very first one, which is instrumental,
2004, yeah.
2003, 2004. So there's a progression, there's an evolution of the band, and I see, very much it's what the band was, and I see, someone for me who grew up and loved bands like the Paperboys and Spirit of the West, had all of the elements that are in your band right now. Enzo's is a great songwriter and a great voice. There's a whole audience there, and then I go in and eat, and other people are like, I like the traditional stuff, and then some people are like, oh, I like this stuff. It's like, that's great. What a great problem to have is that people,
there is a little divide. I noticed that. Yeah.
So either is it Curdy? Maybe at some point in time you're going to go and have like 2 entities. This is the one band, and this is the other band, and it's the same people. But I don't want to start fighting over what style of music we're going to be playing as they go, because there's a huge following and dedicated fans for all of it. Do you find yourself torn that we're starting you know.
It was well, the decision was at first, you know, because our genre was instrumental roots and stuff like that. And then this may sound weird, but I figured in myself, I said, look, we're nobody anyway, so who cares? We'll do what we want. So that's, you know, so like.
Yeah, until it don't work.
Which I know probably sounds negative, but I figured, you know, let's do it for us.
Let's do it for what makes sense and what makes us feel good. And if it does, then you've got a good, you know, form of communication. You got to keep the love, keep the passion in it. And it's like a marriage. It's tough. You know, you go through your tough times.
It's about growth, I think. I don't really think it's
instrumentation's
negative.
always there. Like we always, I think we have vocals and we evolved there too, but on Erie Long, we did have 3 or 4 different vocals. Yeah. Mind you, the instruments are not, the instrumentals are not as traditional as some of the earlier work, but they're still instrumental and they have a bit of, you know, different edge that we bring into it.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to play the title track off of that CD, Erie Long, the most recent from the Acoustics. They're in the studio right now, and we're going to play Erie Long right now. BarbershopPodcast.com. wonderful evening tonight with the Acoustics in-house at Boxo Studio and Barber Shop Podcast. They are a wonderful traditional folk roots band. I call it Canadiana. And it's got all of the good wood and steel that a good band that can sit down and entertain has got to offer. And they are coming to the Brantford Arts Block this Saturday night. You're going to want to be there. Go check out their links here on the podcast. There's still time to get tickets advance, $15. Get there at 8. Show starts at 8:30. You're going to play one more live for us. You're going to play a nice instrumental. No, you're going to sing? We got more voice?
Yeah, we got
Good singing.
No, he's the other guy, so he's the vocal guy.
We'll get the both worlds. So I'm on.
Written by Enzo and sang by Ally.
Wonderful.
Really? It was written by Enzo?
I wrote this one.
Sorry.
It's a survivor trying to...
It's very hot in this room for all you listeners, and we're getting heated.
We're getting
angry.
heated.
We're trying to cause a war.
On the same subject, Ally is also, she writes a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
She's working on a lot of personal demos right now. So she's also a very good musician writer.
Yep, and when it all gets together, it's like you got good ingredients and you got good cook, and you put it together and you get a fantastic meal. We serve it up hot every week, every Wednesday night at Barbershop Podcast, and we're going to give you a nice helping of it right now. Got the Acoustics live at barbershoppodcast.com.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Don't you carry the weight of the sad, sad song? When we were together, we were all alone. You know I'm still waiting for you. I turn around and see you walking out that door. I knew you wouldn't be walking through it anymore. You know I'm still waiting for you. No, I never thought I could be someone, knowing that we are not as one, watching the stars for a different direction. I only have eyes for your reflection, sitting on the couch and looking at the phone. I'm wondering if you are not alone. You know I'm still waiting for you. The years go by, oh what could have been. You look through your window and you get your fill. You know I'm still waiting for you. No, I never thought I could be someone, knowing that we are not as one, watching the stars for a different direction. Only have eyes for your reflection. I could be someone, knowing that we are not as one, watching the stars for a different direction. I only have eyes for your reflection. I only have eyes for your reflection.
Just lovely. The Acoustics at barbershoppodcast.com. Every Wednesday night we bring you beautiful live music, some more beautiful than others. Tonight was a sweet night. Great stuff. Thanks so much for coming in the studio.
Thanks for having us, Kevin.
You're gonna want to check these guys out this Saturday.
For the Hamiltonian musicians.
Oh, we do it because we love it. We do it because we love it.
Thank
Every
you.
Wednesday.
Clapping.
Give us a little boost to get us through. This is our hump day. People come in here with passion and integrity, and it gets imparted. And as you're talking about sharing and helping each other, that's absolutely what it is. And not all of us can have great days. And so you always need somebody to help you over the bumps sometimes. And that's what we hope that we do. And certainly you good people out there do that for us as well on a regular basis. For Gary Greenland, Ryan Cannon, and the good people in the Acoustics, you want to tune in
Bye,
next
everybody.
week. You're going to check out Leonard, Burns, and Dell. Those three, fantastic. Sonic Magpie recording artists are coming in here. You're going to want to check that out next week. Episode number 133 at barbershoppodcast.com. Have a good night.